Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning, and it is Thursday. This is Thursday Morning Live, and I am so glad that you're joining us this morning. Hey, I'm super excited about this morning's interview. My guest is a longtime friend, somebody who's really made an impact in my life, and we'll get to him in a minute. But what are you thinking about this morning? What are things in your life like? Do you have relationships maybe that are contentious? Are you having issues at work, issues in a marriage or a loving relationship? Where are you at? What's going on? This morning is really going to be impactful for you for that. So here's what I suggest: grab your coffee, buckle up. This is going to be a ride that you're really going to enjoy. If you're new to the show, welcome this morning. Glad that you're here, and you're going to want to thank the person that told you about us or invited you, because we are always bringing great content, new content to you on Thursday mornings, talking about entrepreneurship and talking about business, not necessarily about real estate. I'm in the multifamily business, and that most of my focus is around that. But I'm always on Thursday morning trying to bring a new entrepreneur, somebody who can deliver something for you that's going to help you grow. And I always say we don't grow professionally until we grow personally. So glad that you're here. If you like what you hear this morning, like us, love us on social media, wherever you are. If you're following us on Facebook, we have a Facebook community out there, Multifamily Unplugged. You may want to join. That'll give you some new insights in the real estate space and things that are going on, keeping you up to date. And if you're on YouTube, smash the subscribe button this morning and follow our content there and continue to get educated. So, my guest this morning, longtime friend Brian DeCook, just recently got to spend a few days in the woods up in the UP of Michigan with Brian, and had a really great time just serving and helping out. This morning, we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about negotiations. We're going to talk about giving back. And you know what? I'm going to ask you to examine your heart and see where you're at in that conversation. So let me bring Brian in. Hey, good morning.
Morning, Mike.
How are
Great to
you?
see you. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good. It's good to be seen, especially after a couple of days in the woods.
We had a great time, didn't we? It
Well,
was
you left
awesome.
early enough to
I,
not have to do too
that's
much
right.
work because
That's right.
because after you left, Tim said, Tim was only there a half day and left us in Kurt's thrushes,
Okay.
and it was a little bit of a tough day. Levi and I looked at each other about 5 o'clock, said, I don't even know if I can get to the chow hall for dinner.
I love
So,
it. I love
hey,
it.
Brian, glad you're here this morning. As I start these shows and kick this off, I always ask that one question, what in one word, what best describes you personally and professionally?
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that question, and I've given it some thought, and I think the word that I would use is thankful.
Mm,
Not because I see myself so much as a thankful person all the time, but the power of thanks in my life has been so powerful, and some of that through you, Mike. We've talked about gratitude and the power of gratitude and just how it impacts your mindset and
mm,
how you look at people, how you look at situations. And I come from a Christian worldview, a biblical worldview, and there's a passage where the Apostle Paul's writing about uh, trials and being anxious, and he talks about giving those things over to the Lord uh, with thanksgiving. And it's such an interesting passage to me because when you're anxious and when you're in conflict, when you're in trouble, you're not really thankful. I'm not. For me, that's not my natural
right.
response, is to be thankful. But when you can flip that switch, and whether you're a believer like I am, or you have a different mindset and approach to things, if you can, whatever that looks like in your worldview of being thankful in the midst of your situation, it positions you see things differently, positions you to
Yeah.
be a blessing to others, and also to that that anxiety that we do bring before the Lord in the context of that verse I mentioned. Um, the promise in doing that with thanksgiving is that you're going to experience the Lord's peace,
Mm.
and that's been super impactful in my life to the extent that giving of thanks in the midst of a challenge or in the midst of a trial is um, is the most fundamental advice I give to clients or to friends or to family members that are going through a difficult time. So yeah, that's my word, thankful.
Yeah. Yeah, gratitude is so important, right? Like yesterday I was writing I wrote a little longer list. Every morning I get up and I really try to focus on 3, 4 things I'm super grateful for. And on my list yesterday, I just wrote that I was grateful for the hair on my head. And I know we all can be grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very jealous of any man close to my age that has a full head of hair, and you're on that list, Mike. So.
Hey, listen, I just want to mention there's a handful of people on this morning listening in. One of our friends, Forrest, is listening in, and we'll just say hi to him. But hey, I want to just encourage anybody, if you have any comments or thoughts as we go along this morning, throw them in the chat and we'll get those answered for you. So, Brian, why don't you talk a little bit about your background and Peace Fire, and how you got to do what you're doing, and where your passion lies.
Yeah, I do want to mention that Forrest is also on my list of men I'm jealous of with a full head of hair. So, but I am an attorney by training. So I went to DePaul University College of Law in Chicago, and have been a licensed attorney for over 30 years now. Practiced in Illinois for 23 of those years, and then I currently live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I am no longer practicing law full time. Still hold my license, still do things from time to time, but my focus is really on what I call helping people navigate conflict. So conflict navigation, and whether it's consulting or coaching or mediating, arbitrating, there's a number of ways that we help people. But what I learned as an attorney is that conflict. I've watched so many people go through conflict, and I've learned so much by just observing. And conflict is, although there's always a material aspect to it. The conflict is affecting my income or my reputation or my family, but there's always a relationship component in conflict. And as an attorney, you're focused on winning. You're focused on getting the best result for your client. And in doing that, relationships are often damaged. There are a lot of cases that if they go through to trial, the parties' relationships are oftentimes just destroyed. They're no longer talking to each other. And that bothered me as an attorney. Mm. And so after 5 years in practice, I started to pray about that and asked for some wisdom and understanding regarding the dynamics of conflict and the pursuit of peace, and not peace in the sense of can't we all just get along peace, but that peace that we're all pursuing, right? Why do I want to, whatever it is I'm pursuing it because it's going to give me something. I think there's something in achieving that thing that it's going to give me. And oftentimes, ask yourself, why am I pursuing whatever it is I'm pursuing? Is it, if it's money or fame or fortune, reputation, whatever it is we're pursuing. We think that thing is that result that we want is going to give us, oftentimes it's peace, right? Place where we're going to be satisfied. I'm going to be happy there. And so that's the kind of peace that I work with when I'm talking to clients. We're pursuing a peace that isn't determined by outcome. If I'm pursuing money, and I think I'm going to have peace if I get that money, I'm saying to you, you can have peace. You can have that peace while you're pursuing that money. All right. And that pursuit of that money doesn't have to damage your anybody that gets in your way of that money. Your relationships can grow and can be stronger through in that pursuit, because the conflicts that we experience in that pursuit are where the treasure is for us. And when we reach the end of that pursuit, it's the things that happen to us along the way that bring value to us as a person. What I have to offer and give to someone else is a result of those things that I experience in those conflicts on the journey to peace. So in the midst of those journeys, what I do now is help people find the treasure in their conflicts and learn how to navigate conflict in a way that they can have peace in the pursuit, and also know how to discern where the treasure is, where the growth is, and where the opportunities are to grow as whatever it is you are, as a professional, as a spouse, as a parent, as a whatever your role might be, wherever the context of your conflict lies, how to find those treasures.
That's awesome. And I know that a lot of what you share with people is impactful, because I've had personal experience with you. When you and I first met 12 years ago, I was going through a time in my life where there was a lot of contention, a lot of conflict. And, I think that spending, and I think you and I probably spent a good year together. And I believe that a lot of what you taught me helped set me up for future success. Because I think that those things, when you learn them and you embed them as you teach, they help you, maybe not today, but tomorrow, because they come back, right? And you can recall them.
Yeah.
The thing I mentioned at the beginning too is that talk a little about negotiations, right? I think that in negotiations there can be a lot of contention, and how do we resolve conflict during that period of time?
Yeah, great question. And I love what you said about our relationship, because that is in a nutshell really what we do. We take someone in their existing situation. Everyone comes to me with a conflict. Most of my clients are not having a great time and saying, I want to call this conflict coach or consultant because someday I might have a conflict I need some help with.
Right.
We get the call when the fire's burning, the heat's on, the pressure's on, and people don't know what to do. And so what we do is we take that existing conflict. We aren't going to be able to change much about that situation, but we can use it to illustrate what they can do in the next one, right? And as much as they can, we can do some things in that existing conflict, but we'll use that existing conflict to show just what we're talking about. And as they walk through that conflict, they experience these things much as you did, and learn those secrets of giving thanks, learn where do I find the treasure in conflict, and then walk it out. And then the next conflict is going to be different. And so when you mentioned negotiations, some super powerful opportunities in negotiation, because negotiation is conflict, right? I mean,
Right.
you got two people or more who have goals in a transaction or in a relationship, whatever the negotiation's about. And so you're hoping that everyone can, the proverbial win-win outcome, that everybody gets something, right? But we always go into a negotiation, we have a goal of what we want to accomplish, but it's a conflict. And so understanding the dynamics of conflict and where the treasure is can help you in negotiations. And one of those tools is just simple perspective taking. And so perspective taking is really, pretty, I think it's self-explanatory, but it means, considering the perspective of the other people in the negotiation and looking at things from their point of view. And when you do that, it helps you see, okay, here's what their interests may be. Here's what their objectives may be. I understand a little more about maybe why they want those things. And what that can do is help me then take that information, process it, and determine how I might negotiate with
Right.
them towards those interests. So all kinds of conflict principles that take place in negotiation.
One thing I've always learned about negotiations is, I personally like to try and come to a win-win solution, something that both parties can live with. Because I always feel if I walk away and I feel like I got the upper hand, you know, I, I don't feel necessarily good about that. And if I walk away and I feel like I didn't, that I got taken advantage of, well, then that's where I tend to get angry, right? And that things don't go well from that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think such a win-win is so critically important in um,
Yeah.
those negotiations.
Yeah. And what you're talking about there is relationship. What, in any negotiation where we walk away from the table feeling like we've lost, in how many of those situations do you have you experienced a stronger relationship over time with that person who, from our perspective, took advantage of us? Right. We probably don't do business with them unless we have to. Right.
Right.
And so that's the advantage of a win-win. And to me, a win-win isn't so much kind of a last ditch effort of, well, you take this, I'll take this, and we'll call it a day. Right. No, it's a win-win is that we can walk away, we can have relationship, and we want to continue doing business together. We want to continue in relationship. It's the type of negotiation where I just going to get what I want and pursue that, and I really don't care about the other person. All right, there were we can recognize that the principles there are going to be different, the goals are different, and you don't really care about people in that situation. But most of us who have learned through those transactions that to be successful, to have a good reputation among people that have dealt with they're going to go out and tell others, hey, it's great dealing with Mike. You're going to get a fair deal with Mike. You're going to be treated well. He's going to respect you. He's going to lay everything out for you. And here's what you can expect, right? We want people to say good things about us, having dealt with us. And when we go in just to take advantage of people in order to win,
Right.
in the long run, those wins are usually temporary and fleeting.
Yeah, absolutely. And the bad, right? So if people say, "Oh, Mike's not a good guy to negotiate with," spreads a lot more like wildfire than
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you are
for
good
sure. Yeah,
good at negotiating. So,
yeah, yeah.
um, hey, Brian, talk a little bit about the other side of what you do. The giving back, the Peace Fire initiative, your trips to Africa, things like that.
Yeah. So what we do on the coaching and consulting side is, regardless of, we help anyone. I mentioned earlier that I have a Christian worldview, a biblical worldview, and but in our consulting, if our client is not like-minded with that, we there's still so much we have to give to those clients in the dynamics, in learning and understanding the dynamics of conflict. On that faith side, when we work with churches or just business owners who have a biblical worldview and want to navigate conflict well, as I was practicing law and saw the damage done to relationships through by going through the system. I started to get a heart for, okay, how do we help people who want to resolve their conflicts um, and preserve relationship? How can we create a forum for that? And so we started a not-for-profit that it originally was called the Reconciliation Center, and we started a mediation arbitration center. And our experience was someone would call to use our services, but the other party would refuse. And so we didn't have many clients that we actually sat down with, because both parties have to agree to sit down. And
Right.
so I started to pray about that and asked the Lord for wisdom again of how do we help this one person that wants to preserve relationship, that wants to seek the Lord in resolving their conflicts. How do we help them? And we started to get a vision then over the next few years to equip them to respond to conflict as what we call an ambassador of Jesus Christ. So in um, there's scripture that the Apostle Paul writes about believers being ambassadors of Christ, representatives of a heavenly kingdom, right? And so, what does that representative look like? An ambassador in of the United States to whatever country they might be sent to is told what to say, told what to do, and they're given resources to do it. And it's no different in the heavenly kingdom. The kingdom of heaven has ambassadors that have been sent to represent the kingdom in their marriage, in their family, in their work, wherever they go. They're an ambassador, and they're told what to say. What are we to say? Well, we're to proclaim good news. We're to speak about grace. We're to talk about mercy. We're to talk about all the things that we have in Jesus Christ, who is the King of the kingdom. And so what we do at Peacefire is equip followers of Jesus Christ to respond to conflict, to navigate conflict as his ambassador, because every conflict for that person, that type of person, is an assignment and an opportunity. It's not a problem. One of the amazing things about the Apostle Paul is that he, experienced amazing hardships,
Mm.
imprisonment, shipwrecks, beatings. And I mean, this guy had no glamorous life. He suffered quite often. And he could write that, he wrote that whether I'm in good times or bad, whether I have plenty or whether I have nothing, I've learned to be content. And he wrote this in letter to the Corinthian church. He said, Jesus Christ always leads us in triumph. And
Mm.
so for that guy's perspective, that his mindset was amazing. That he was so committed to being that ambassador and representing Jesus Christ wherever he went, whatever he did. And so what we do is equip pastors, equip lawyers, equip anyone who wants to be equipped to navigate their conflicts as ambassadors of Jesus Christ. We provide training for them. We don't charge anything for it. It's all free. It's free on our website. If anyone listening here today wanted to go through our training, they could just go click on peacefire.net and they can get our training for free. And the Lord has opened doors for us to train pastors and Christian leaders so far in 7 countries in the continent of Africa. Many people in the States and in other, I think over 130 countries, we've trained people, but we've traveled to those 7. We do a lot of virtual work, but we also love to travel, and because the relationship, that face-to-face relationship, is so powerful.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I appreciate your insights. One of the things I wrote down in thinking through about negotiations and conflict resolution is forgiveness. And I can't help but think that even on my own journey, that there were people and situations that I needed to be forgiving about. And without that piece of forgiveness, yeah, I think that keeps us. They say that when you have a conflict with somebody and you have dislike for somebody, it's like that you're feeding yourself poison and slowly killing yourself and because the other person probably doesn't even care, right?
Right,
And
right.
but but
They're
that
probably
piece
not
of
even thinking about us, right?
right,
Yeah,
that piece of forgiveness, I think, is so critical in what we do.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that that's just one of those things that I really learned early on from you, and we'll always appreciate you for that. So
Yeah, forgiveness let's talk about 2 people and how forgiveness impacts them. Let's first talk about the follower of Jesus Christ, who's received forgiveness
mm,
for all of their sin, all of their wrongdoing, and and then is commanded Now go and treat others the way I've treated you. Right? I've forgiven you everything, past, present, future. You're forgiven. And I'm giving you a new spirit, giving you a new heart, and a renewed mind. And now go and be my ambassador and show the same grace I've shown to you to others. And so there's this compelling reason to forgive because we've been forgiven. And you and I both, Mike, we know the how much we've been forgiven, right? There isn't
Right.
any of us that doesn't need forgiveness. And so when we receive it, we just want others to know that freedom of forgiveness. And so when we withhold forgiveness as a follower of Jesus Christ, we are quenching that life that he gives us to give away to others. And so it's going to start to create some blockage and some
Right.
confusion and some hindrance in our life of the operation of the Holy Spirit. And he wants us to forgive. Now, if you're not a follower of Jesus Christ, where the power of forgiveness can impact your life, is what you've just said, Mike, so powerful. When we withhold forgiveness, it doesn't mean anything to the other person. They don't care whether you
Right.
forgive them or not. It's for
Right.
you. Forgiveness is for you. It does set them, you're saying, I forgive you. You're free from whatever it is you've done for me. I'm not holding it against you. You're free. But that freedom comes for you, because when we refuse to forgive, it's like drinking poison. It's like putting ourselves in a prison, and we just don't realize it because we know we're right. We're
Right.
convinced that they wronged us. They deserve to be in the prison, and we're the ones who are in it when we refuse to forgive. So powerful.
Yeah, 100%. Well, just, as we wrap up here, we, typically always wind up going a little bit longer than I say we're going to, but I appreciate you this morning. But, I just want to circle back to that one thing you meant, we talked about in the beginning, which was thankfulness, right? And I had to pull up a Bible verse here this morning, 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 18. Paul says, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ.
Wow,
And,
that's great.
it's one of those living verses, right? It's one of my
Yeah.
living verses that I hold on to. So,
Yeah.
Brian, thanks for being here this morning. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do in the world for other people and your insights. How do people get a hold of you if they want to reach out and talk with you?
Yes, you can go to our website at peacefire.net. My email address at the bottom of the screen, brian@peacefire.net. And peacefire is one word. And you can also, if you're not a follower of Jesus Christ and you want to check out our work, we also have a website, Two Fires, TWOFIRES.online.
Perfect. Hey, Brian, I'm going to move you out for a minute. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody.
Thanks, Mike.
And if you hang out with me in the back room, I'd appreciate it. So
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
thanks, Brian. Thanks for being here. Hey, everybody, that was a little twist to what we normally do on Thursday morning for you today. I wrote something else down interesting. I said, intriguing guests, right? That's what I want to bring on Thursday morning is people with a different perspective and a different piece for you to learn from, to grow with. Hey, if you're somebody who has a alternative business or something you're doing differently in your world, I'd love to have you on this show on Thursday morning. So reach out to me and let's get you scheduled. This is about bringing you to the world and what you do to the world. And that's what I want to continue to do. As a side note, coming up October 17th and 18th is my 5th annual virtual multifamily summit. Love to have you there this year. If you are a real estate investor, a new real estate investor, somebody thinking about real estate investing, whether you're a passive investor or an active investor, makes no difference. This event is for you. I have 20 speakers and panelists this year, great sponsors that are sponsoring the event for us. And this is an event you're not going to want to miss this year because it is going to be action packed. And knowing where we're at in the market and the market cycles and how are you going to position yourself to come out of this next market cycle into the new one and be in front of the bull run? So I want you to be able to get that knowledge and that information. reach out to us. We're in the process of putting all the data together, and we will be launching our early bird special soon. So watch for that. Have a great day, everybody. We're here every Thursday morning. We will see you next week.